Hi everybody, if you don't know me, my name is Drew, and this is the first spoken video that I'm doing for the build out of my Ford E450 2001 V10 Triton church shuttle bus. The video that I'm posting, that I've posted before this, is going to be, or is just photographs of what the bus looked like when I bought it, some pre-demo, mid-demo, and post-demo photographs, maybe a couple videos here and there, some of the work we did pulling up the rubber floors, which was no fun, but once we got into the groove with it, it was a little bit easier. We really just ended up using a rubber-coated mallet and a 16-inch pry bar and pulled up the entire rubber floor, thanks to my mom for her help with that last 4 foot by 4 foot section that I just couldn't bring myself to do after doing the whole rest of the bus. And today we are beginning our build process, and it is February 9th, 2023. So just for posterity's sake, we'll see how this goes. As you can see here at the front of the bus is a bit of a wreck. It is a rainy, gloomy day here in southeast Michigan, so we are deciding not to put down any flooring or anything, just to give it a little bit of chance to not lock in any moisture between the layers. But what we are going to do is start with some floor expansion and repairs. So what we've got going on here, as you can see, the floor in the back of the bus leads right up to the back of the driver's seat, and the stairwell is a lot wider than I really need. So we're going to expand the floor space here by about 10 or 12 inches and turn that space in the stairs into boot boxes for hiking and winter boots. And then eventually that space here, all of the mechanisms for the door are going to be coming out. We're going to be changing the door into something a little more homey and workable. And then all of that space there where the flares and roadside stuff is going to turn into shoe storage bins, because I love my shoes. And as you can see, we didn't really have to do much remodeling or repairing of the floors in this bus. Surprisingly, they were pretty well kept. This bus was purchased originally from Alabama, and so it doesn't have a lot of the rust and damage stuff that you might get from purchasing a bus up here in the Midwest, because they don't have a lot of snow and salt on the roads. This is the main piece that we are going to be repairing today, that I've already started the process of repairing. There's a, as you can see, there used to be a handicap lift or a wheelchair lift in here, and some hydraulic fluid leaked through the subfloors and through the holes for the wiring, and rotted out some of the plywood subflooring and some of the sheet metal that is protecting it from the elements underneath. So we're doing a little bit of repair on this. We had to cut out some nails here for where the plywood was attached. I've taken the wire brush to it. I will attach the videos of that. And now I am actually using some mineral spirits to dry out the hydraulic fluid that has leaked and does not seem to want to dry. So we're going to use some mineral spirits to dry that out, and then I am going to take a blow dryer to it and hopefully dry all that out, so that we can begin the process of repairing this sheet metal, cutting out the cardboard fitting, or not cardboard, sorry, plywood fitting. I already cut out the cardboard fitting, the pattern for the plywood, and then patching up this sweet section of floor. So I will see you on the other side. So we finished cleaning up the mineral spirits with the blow dryer. I actually did use a salon blow dryer. I have been in the beauty industry for most of my adult life, and so I happened to have an extra one laying around and couldn't find my heat gun. So that worked just the same way. We are going to continue to clean up a little bit more of this rust so that we can prepare it for an overlay of either a new piece of aluminum or whatever we decide to do in order to fix some of these holes. So just that little spot with the mineral spirits, you can already tell a big difference in how easily this rust is coming up. So I am going to continue this process and I will see you on the other side. All right, so we took the wire wheel here, got it nice and cleaned up, took off all the surface rust here. So the next step is we're gonna use some of this rust cutter, which helps to stop oxidation of metal, helps to stop the corrosion of tools. So we're just gonna take that and a little one of these shop towels here and wipe it across the top of that, and then repeat the process with the blow dryer and or heat gun and get it nice and clean and help prevent any further corrosion. So I'll see you in a bit. So here's the finished product after applying the rust cutter and then taking the heat gun to it. It is dry to the touch, but a little bit tacky. Over time, that tackiness will go away, but it's gonna be underneath the floor anyway, so that's not really that big of a deal. What we're going to be doing now is taking our handy dandy cardboard pattern that we made to fit this spot nicely and beautifully, and applying it to a piece of plywood that we had laying around. Gonna do a nice little design here to get that piece filled back in. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and I will see you in a little bit. So we got our patterns drawn out onto the board here, onto the plywood board, and although the wood is going to be fitting into one slot, I decided that it was going to be probably a better option to cut it out into pieces because of the way that it fits into, let's see, because of the way that it's going to hopefully fit in. And you can see a little tiny bit here that this piece here is actually just about maybe a quarter of an inch bigger or wider in this than this piece is, because of the way that I cut out the rotten floor. So I made it a little bit more difficult on myself, but I think it'll all be okay in the end. I have a couple of different options for cutting out, and I'm going to use both of them. The primary tool that I'm going to use for the long straight lines is the reciprocating saw, and then we've got this handy dandy cool little oscillating tool here, which has been really useful in several different phases of removing rubber flooring, and it is also what I use to cut out that part of the flooring there. It works really well. This is a carbon supported serrated blade that's used specifically for cutting wood and plastic. However, I think in this 1/2 inch plywood, for as much cutting as I need to do, I'm going to go ahead and use the reciprocating saw to do the bulk of that cutting, and then I will refine it with the oscillating tool. So once those are cut out, I will show you what we got going on. So I got the first piece in, and of course, just like any other project, there was a bit of a road bump between the cardboard mold fitting itself easily into the space and the plywood not wanting to fit into that space. So now we're just doing a little bit of widgeting to make it all fit. All right, so after lots of craziness and actually having to break out the circular saw, my dad, who was instrumental in helping me get these pieces of damp plywood cut, helped me finally get these into place. As you see, there's a little bit of gap in between because I'm not perfect, but we are going to sweep up some of the sawdust that is left over from cutting these boards and fill those gaps, and then fill that cover that up with some silicone before we put the next layers of flooring on top. We did end up pulling out the circular saw to cut some straight lines, but all in all, I'd say that it's a pretty productive day today, and we are losing daylight and the wind is picking up, and we are in Michigan and it is getting cold, so we're gonna shut it down for the day. We'll see ya.